The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to our webinar today. God isn't finished with me yet, supporting older adults in our parishes. My name is Rachel Chung, Disabilities Coordinator for the Archdiocese of Washington, Department of Special Needs Ministries. Later in the webinar, I will welcome Barbara Lee, author of God Isn't Finished with Me Yet. She will share her thoughts and ideas on ways parishes can support the spiritual needs of older adults. Our original plan was to have Barbara join us in person for both this webinar and for a retreat to be held the following day at Jesus the Good Shepherd Parish in Owings, Maryland. This was not the plan God had in store for us, but we are so grateful to have Barbara join us from her home for this webinar. We are looking forward to greeting Barbara in person at a later date. Please stay connected with us at the Department of Special Needs Ministries for updates on rescheduling this event and resources. I would like to recognize as well, during this COVID-19 pandemic, older adults are even more at risk, and many are living in isolation, unable to be with their children, grandchildren, and friends. We hope this webinar provides inspiration for our parishes to develop and strengthen outreach to older adults, both now and when we are able to gather together again. For resources and information in both English and Spanish on the Archdiocese of Washington response to COVID-19, please go to our website, adw.org/coronavirus. So, who is an older adult? Is it age? Someone who's retired? Perhaps empty nesters? A person facing health challenges or declining health? Perhaps someone ready for a second career? Or a person experiencing a series of losses, such as a death of a spouse, loss of independence, perhaps forced retirement or downsizing. Is an older adult a caregiver for younger children, elderly relatives, or maybe even perhaps both? I think we can say that older adults is all the above. We can see that older adults, the fastest growing segment of the population in the United States, are a multifaceted group in all different stages of life, not just one singular image of a person who is perhaps sick or frail. Look at these images of the older adults in our Archdiocese of Washington. We can see our older adults are active in our community, they're leaders, they're also religious, priests in our Archdiocese, and with many different people representing the mosaic of cultures, all united in our faith. So this past January, I attended the Youth Rally and Mass for Life. And during that rally, we recited the Rosary, meditating on the joyful mysteries. The meditation questions were shown on large screens in the Capital One Arena, where the rally is held. I saw an interesting question come up on the screen. The question was, Lord, help us to recognize the plan that you have made for us and the strength to follow and trust you. How can we accept your plan for us during all stages of life? Now, this arena during this rally was filled with over 10,000 young people, high school aged and some college aged. They are just about to set off on their own journeys into adulthood, career, marriage, family, and some perhaps were even considering a vocation. I thought for a moment about the upcoming retreat we were planning for older adults. Is this not an interesting question for everyone at any life stage? I quickly took a picture with my iPhone and saved it. So, how do we recognize what God's plan is for us at all stages of life? So now we will welcome Barbara Lee to our webinar, who again is joining us. Welcome, Barbara.
Thank you, Rachel. I'm very happy to be with you, and I'm only disappointed that I'm not there in person, but I hope we'll be able to do that sometime in the future.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much, Barbara, for joining us again. So I wanted you to introduce yourself to everyone here attending the webinar. So please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I am a spiritual director and writer with a ministry to the aging. I experienced a very late call to this ministry because I had a career as a lawyer and a judge, and all this happened after I retired. Now, that was no accident because I share the experiences of the people to whom I minister. And did you mention that I live in New York City, and that's where I'm talking to you from today?
Oh, thank you, Barbara. Yes, I'm sorry. I did not mention that your home is in New York City. So thank you for joining us from there. So how would you define an older adult? I shared a few examples, but what would be your definition of an older adult?
Well, I would start by saying I do not use chronological age. I have met fragile people in their 50s, and I've met vigorous, active people in their 80s, and I'm sure all of you have as well. So I prefer to define older adults as those who have had certain kinds of life experiences. And Rachel, you mentioned a number of them, such as people who are retired, empty nesters, people who have experienced various kinds of losses. These things can happen at 50 or at 85.
So how do you feel God's plan changed for you as you moved through different life stages? Why or why not?
Well, in a sense, God's plan changed for me because I was called to do different things at different times in my life. And I think that's probably true of all of us, although we don't always recognize it. For me, practicing law was certainly a calling. Caring for my mother for 4 years after I retired was another. But in another sense, God may have had the same plan all along for me because I had to reach a certain age before I heard the call to minister to the aging. So I think for most of us, God has us in mind all our lives, and He has in mind when we're 20, He has in mind something for us when we're 70. But at the same time, at different stages of our lives, we're called upon to do different things. And I think we need prayer and discernment to recognize what those are.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Barbara. What about our parishes, though? Why do you think it is important for parishes to consider older adults in their ministry planning and outreach?
Well, first of all, there are a great many of us, and our numbers are increasing, despite the governor of Texas who thinks that we all ought to just curl up and die. We're not doing that, and we're going to survive this crisis along with people of other ages. But our numbers are increasing. The youngest of the baby boomers has not yet reached retirement age, and we are all living longer, and that trend is likely to continue. So at the same time, we continue to be underserved, and we are often invisible in society at large, and that spills over into the parishes because without criticizing any of our clergy, we're all products of our culture, and we make assumptions such as the majority of people do. So I think the parishes, along with the rest of society, need to wake up to how many of us there are and that our needs are not uniform. We are not a single homogeneous group. You and I mentioned a little earlier some of the categories of older adults, and you multiply that by the fact that there are differences in race and class and other characteristics. So it's time we got more attention.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And I did show across even our own Archdiocese of Washington how many cultures we are here alone, and how different those different cultures also are with our older adults as well. It changes as well. Culture is a big factor as
It
well.
really is. I can give you one example. For a number of years, I was a volunteer teacher of English, and most of my students were Chinese. And Chinese older adults universally take care of their grandchildren while the parents of the children are out working full time. That's just as true here in the United States as it is in China. So that group of older adults has very different interests and needs from those who perhaps middle class people who retire at age 60 and are looking for either a second career or something else to do. That's just one example of cultural differences.
No, excellent. Yes. Now, many of our parishes would have large print worship guides, or perhaps they might have a senior group that meets to socialize, for example. And I think some parishes might respond and say, yes, we do have adequate outreach to older adults. But what are your thoughts on how parishes can go deeper and more fully include older adults in the life of the parish?
Okay. Large print and assistance for the hearing impaired and ramps for the mobility challenged are all great things, and they are not only directed to older adults, because people of all ages have various kinds of disabilities. So it's great when parishes try to meet them. But really, in my opinion, that's just the minimum. As far as older adults are concerned, and this might apply to people with disabilities who are younger, we need more substantive ways of excuse me, I have allergies. We need more substantive ways of actively involving the older adults in the life of the parish. Now, ways of doing that are going to depend on the composition of the parish, because all parishes are different. But sometimes it can be something as simple as holding some events in the daytime, making it possible for people to participate who don't feel able to go out at night.
Yeah, I mean, I think we sometimes when parishes are planning, let's say, a Bible study or other type of adult formation, particularly, sometimes it's only held at night, which excludes a very large group in our parishes. A simple thing like that, as you mentioned, the scheduling of when is it?
That's absolutely right. Now, some parishes, I belong to a very large parish in New York City, and we have perhaps more resources than some parishes do. But one of the things that we do with some of the programs, we have held them both in the afternoon and in the evening. There's some other things that work best in the daytime. And don't forget weekends. Weekends in the daytime. Saturday afternoon, if your facilities are not completely taken up with high school sports or something. So there are possibilities if you put your thinking cap on and try to be creative.
And it's also that reminder to our parishes that our older adults are the same as us, as all adults. We're seeking that spiritual strength and continuing to want to learn as well.
Absolutely.
So, are there any types of outreach you recommend a parish not do in
Oh,
terms
yes.
of reaching older adults?
Oh, yes. First of all, don't talk down to them. Second, don't assume that you know what they need. And third, absolutely don't offer a program on estate planning or invite a funeral home representative to speak at the parish. We are not all at death's door.
That's making me smile very much, Barbara, because I see that often in bulletin
Oh,
announcements.
yes, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And, you know, even the people who maybe don't have too many years left to live don't want to be reminded of it. Plenty of places where you can find out how to arrange a funeral.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And again, it's that valuing of our older adults. You know, they're not. Yes, we'll all be at that point in some, inevitability, but we're more than that. Yes.
Exactly.
Now, we sort of spoke about this as well, but what advice would you have for a pastor or a parish ministry leader, or maybe perhaps it could be a parish volunteer who is considering outreach to older adults from a parish point of view?
Okay. The first thing that the parish needs to do is to find out what the older adults need and want, because every parish is different. For example, a parish with a lot of recently retired able adults might find it useful to have a program about volunteer opportunities, both in the parish and in the community, if they have a group that is going to be interested in that. A parish that's near a university or that otherwise has a large group of well-educated people might want some scripture study programs or a book club. Daytime book clubs are very popular in a lot of parishes. And a parish with a significant immigrant population might have some special interests, including programs in other languages, or the example that I gave of the Chinese people taking care of grandchildren. They might want a program that grandparents and grandchildren could attend together. So it really depends on the nature of the parish. Some parishes have tried to find out the needs through a parish census or just questionnaires that are passed out or left in the sacristy or something to get people to respond about what they're interested in. Some parishes that have an existing outreach framework may have other ways of finding out, but the important thing is to be sure you know your population. We're not all the same.
Yeah, I think that's great advice, and also for all of any type of ministry or outreach as well. It's really getting to know the people, not assuming you know what they need. And
Exactly.
Exactly. Now, would you have any final thoughts you'd like to share?
Well, I would like to give Pope Francis the last word. He is, of course, himself an older adult, and he's an active and vigorous one. And he has spoken and written a lot lately about the role of older adults in the parish and in the community. And he has particularly stressed the importance of intergenerational connection. Let's have young and middle-aged and older people involved in activities that bring them together. And this is what he said to a group that came to the Vatican a couple of years ago. And I quote, "The elderly are the historical memory of every community, a patrimony of wisdom and faith that needs to be heard, cared for, and valued. They have wisdom, life's wisdom, history's wisdom, the homeland's wisdom, the family's wisdom, and we need all this. I certainly can't improve on that.
Yes, I would say so. I think that's as always, our Holy Father is constantly thinking about the whole life stages, really embracing the whole person.
Exactly.
So, thank you, Barbara, so much for sharing your thoughts. So, what we'd like to do now for our participants in the webinar, if you would like to make a comment or ask a question, please do so in the chat box, which you will find to the right-hand side of your screen. And we will go ahead and give you time to type in those questions and comments. We would welcome your thoughts and feedback. And as we are doing this, let us just review some of what Barbara has shared and also some experiences here in our local Archdiocese of Washington. So as Barbara mentioned, any type of parish adult formation or other types of spiritual enrichment, if possible, please consider offering a daytime session and a evening session. There are several parishes here in our Archdiocese that are able to do that. So that makes sure that everyone is reached here in the parish. Also, Barbara mentioned this as well. Anytime there's renovation of a space or a church is considering building a new space, please consider that universal design and making sure it's accessible to everyone. That physical accessibility is so key to getting even people into the door of our parishes, such as ramps, buttons to push open the doors. So as we're building new spaces or renovating, please look at all of those considerations because it does benefit everyone. We mentioned this, and it's still important that we offer large print materials just as a standard practice of your parish. At the Department of Special Needs Ministries, we, as a matter of practice, print at least 10 to 15 copies in large print of any printed materials, and the copies are always taken. So we know that people are in need of those large prints and they are taking them to use them. Barbara mentioned too about having some type of availability for those with hearing impairments. That is, for some, a part of their aging process, and there's very simple things a parish can do to make sure people can hear better, the homilies, the mass, or other types of things, such as hearing loops or assisted listening devices. So please contact us at the Department of Special Needs Ministries if you would like additional information on that, and we would be glad to help you. Most of the time, it does not require a large renovation, just simple adaptations that can help people to be able to hear and participate better. Barbara also mentioned this, to know our parishioners and where the retired talents are in your parish. Here in the Archdiocese of Washington, for a special needs ministries that was getting started, they just put out a call over the parish on anyone who would like to help, and a retired music teacher offered her talents to the special needs catechist class. And what a wonderful way to share her talents with those children with special learning needs. And she was grateful to share those talents. Are there any types of ministries a parish can think about for those who perhaps are not able to leave their homes? In our resource pages that we will offer here, and there also is a handout on our webinar, there are some links available to such as pray the rosary at home or make rosaries. And there's certainly more examples that we can share and think about for people that are at home. They still want to minister, but perhaps for different reasons, they just cannot make it to the parish. Again, offer opportunities, as Barbara mentioned, for fellowship specific to older persons in your parish. That way people can gather and feel comfortable together. And as Pope Francis, Barbara so beautifully quoted, encourages us to have intergenerational opportunities together. How about a service project in your parish? I know a parish here in our Archdiocese did a very intentional outreach to all generations to come and put bags together of food for the homeless shelter in their area. What a wonderful opportunity for the young people and the older adults in the parish to come together. And very simply done, very simply done.
Rachel, may I suggest?
Oh, please, Barbara.
All of our young people today are digital natives. Wouldn't it be great to have an oral history project where young folks take and record the stories of either their grandparents or residents of a nearby assisted living facility or any of the older parishioners who are willing to sit down with them. Then you have not only intergenerational contact, but you have a permanent record of the parish.
Oh, fantastic idea, Barbara, because and that could be recorded, right, on all these digital formats we have available to us today. Exactly. I know recently a parish that was celebrating a 75th anniversary intentionally outreach to those, they found them, Barbara, the original parishioners, some of them, and recorded their stories and even asked for them to provide their photographs. And just what a wonderful way to connect that parish history together. And they displayed those photographs as well. It was a very good. So hopefully it continues, not just a one-time opportunity. We can't forget that. A parish might consider, and this would be more involvement, but we do have an example here in our diocese about a specific ministry to assist older adults to age in place. A parish might consider that, to offer to bring groceries to parishioners or other types of simple ways that can help the older parishioners be at home as long as possible to age in place.
You know, one of the things that is a problem we don't have in New York City because we are not automobile bound, but in many parts of the country, people could certainly age in place if they only had someone to drive them to the grocery store or to the dentist or wherever they needed to go. They don't need to move into a nursing home living. So if people could volunteer to drive some of these older folks, that would be a terrific advantage.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And again, these are ways that a parish can help our older adults just age in place as long as possible. We hope as long as possible. Oh, sorry. We have fun or okay. Sorry, everyone. We mentioned this a little bit earlier about rosary groups. That can be done at home as well. Perhaps using some type of phone conference lines or other simple ways. Or we have a suggestion, actually, Barbara, coming in about could parishes use senior to seniors helping one another? And yes. So thank you for that comment that just came in. And that would be a way to have a prayer partner as well. And that could be done again over the phone or perhaps as soon as we're able to visit one another, that would be the most ideal.
Well, you know, also, great many of us have smartphones, and for those who are comfortable with it, you can have FaceTime or Skype, which is a little nicer than a telephone call.
Yes, definitely.
Not everybody may want to do that, but certainly, you know, one of the mistakes that younger people sometimes make is to think that older people don't know anything about computers. And that's not correct. I mean, some older people are not online, especially the ones who live in rural areas and, you know, may not have DSL or anything. But, you know, for anybody who has a smartphone or a computer, these video conferencing tools, especially FaceTime and Skype, are so easy to use. A lot of people use Skype with their grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
And why not senior to senior in the parish?
Yeah, excellent, and I think we always make those assumptions. I was at a parish meeting, and all the older adults there pulled out their smartphone to do the liturgy of the hours. Why not, right? So, yes, we should not assume that. And it's a great way to connect people. Definitely the face to face with using all those things we have, the FaceTime, Skype.
Yeah, yeah. Skype and FaceTime are easy.
Yeah, they're
There
simple.
are others that are very complicated that are more designed for business. Don't worry about it. Use one of the easy ones.
Exactly. Now, another thing that people can do if they're not able to leave their home, and perhaps this is a way we can connect with parishes, is have letter writing back and forth. It's still a lovely ministry. Sending cards to older adults, that's something parishioners can do, especially if they've had to leave the area, maybe due to other needs, downsizing or health needs. That way, the parish is still connecting with those older adults. Again, a very simple thing, sending cards and letters.
Now, while we're talking about senior to senior and particularly about the homebound, I don't think I mentioned to you the Friendly Visitors Program.
Yes. Thank you, Barbara.
It's a national organization, and they have a website. I don't have the exact details in front of me, but if you Google Friendly Visitors, it comes right up. And they do give training, so you're not just sending anybody into somebody's home.
Mm-hmm.
Training for the people who volunteer as visitors, and they're matched with homebound residents who would like to have them come. I was in a parish about 30 years ago that had a very successful program of this type, and the people who did the visiting were older ladies who visited other older ladies.
Fantastic, right? And we have to say that certainly we can always empathize with other groups, but certainly sometimes you need someone who really feels what you're feeling, right, Barbara? Sometimes you need that. And we shouldn't forget to mention, of course, I know many parishes already do this, but just to emphasize about bringing the Eucharist to people. Wow, what a beautiful ministry that again can be set up very easily. With Eucharistic ministers, lay people, our clergy, deacons as well, but certainly us as lay people can do that. And if we learn that some of our parishioners might be in the hospital or at a rehabilitation center, they're planning to come back home, of course, but still they want to feel that parish connection as well. The nursing homes, yes.
A friend of mine who has since died was in one of the better nursing homes in this area, and it was under Jewish auspices, but they did have. They were open to everybody, but more of their residents were Jewish. So they had posted on the regular schedule, there was Catholic Mass once a month on a Tuesday afternoon, and there was a Protestant Bible study group once a month on a different day. And my friend was Protestant and not very religious, so I didn't pursue it. But I thought, why didn't one of the local parishes recruit Eucharistic ministers to visit those Catholics who only had Mass once a month? I think hospitals are usually pretty well served.
Yes. Yeah.
But anybody who's a Eucharistic minister ought to look into whether nursing homes in the area have a need.
Yeah, excellent. And that really struck me right now. We cannot gather together, but for many of our older adults, sometimes that's only once a month an opportunity for Mass, and that's how they live all the time, right?
Yeah. Eucharistic ministers can't go into the nursing home.
Yeah.
But this is not going to last forever. We need to be looking ahead to the time when we can all have more direct contact. I think we all really need to pray for the nursing home residents, because some of them completely alone, and I just worry about how desperate some of them may feel, how depressed. So let's not forget to pray for them.
Yes, yeah, thank you so much for that, because they do feel it already, and this is only heightening it even more.
Exactly.
Now, kind of another idea we're talking younger people, or again older adults as well. Now that we have a lot of our masses, and at the Archdiocese as well, even before this current crisis we're in, you can always access the Sunday Mass on YouTube. And what a nice way to, when you are visiting an older adult, to watch that together, on a laptop, and you can watch Mass together. And again, if that person's not able to leave their home, and again, someone mentioned a senior to senior type of peer ministry, and what a wonderful way to have some outreach to each other, one another. So we can use our technology.
Exactly.
All right, so we will check now. Again, I think I misspoke and mentioned a chat box, but if you see a question box there, again, to the right side of your screen. And again, we welcome any comments or ideas or something you might want to share that your parish is doing. Barbara, we also had a comment here that today, actually, the Holy Father came out to engage the world in prayer. And here we are, again, as you mentioned earlier, our Holy Father, who is an older adult, is helping to lead us in prayer and hope. Well, what a beautiful example for us.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Well, let's check again here. All right. And that's all right if people don't have any questions. What we can do is kind of go to our resource page. So please feel free again to keep typing any questions or comments, or perhaps what your parish is doing. This page we're showing now is a resource guide. This one is created by Barbara, and it's available as a handout with this webinar. And there are several excellent resources we did mention here about the Ranger Rosary Ministry, which is making rosaries to send to members of the armed forces. There's also, Barbara has listed here some websites that can help you to get a book club started. Again, that's something that the people in the group can pick themselves, the book, and how they want to meet and discuss that. Also, for spiritual direction, Barbara herself is a spiritual director, still active. And here there's a website listed on ways to connect with that, and also praying with scripture. And thank you, Barbara, for also listing the Magnificat. What a wonderful way to continue that spirituality and growth at home. And currently it is free online. The Magnificat has offered their resource free online at this time. So please, the website is listed here. And also, Barbara, we didn't mention about the Ignatian Volunteer Corps. That website is available on your resource page as well.
Can I tell the group a little bit about Ignatian Volunteers?
Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you.
Usually I make my pitch a little earlier in the presentation. Ignatian Volunteers is an organization that matches retired people with agencies that help the poor. This is our 25th anniversary year. Unfortunately, we don't have the opportunity to use it to raise funds. But anyway, it started in Baltimore 25 years ago and was originally in 3 cities with about 10 volunteers. And now we are in 24 cities and have almost 600 volunteers. It's open to anybody over 50 who is either retired or semi-retired and is able to give preferably 2, but sometimes 1 day a week with a partner agency that helps the poor in various ways. I served at an immigrant services center for a number of years where I taught English, but they do many, many other things. They work with children. They take the Eucharist to hospitals and nursing homes. They work in food pantries, and I can't begin to list
Oh, yes, so
the
many.
kinds of things that they do. So anyone who is retired and eager to do volunteer work in the spiritual context, because we meet together monthly and we share the spiritual journey. So I think Rachel has our information and can give you the contact information if any of you would like to know more about us.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Barbara. And I would like to mention that in one of our groups here that we work with at the Department of Special Needs Ministries, it's called Up County Community Resources. Right now, they do have an Ignatian volunteer working with that organization, and they support adults living with developmental disabilities and social and recreational activities. And she's been a valuable asset to that organization. It really happens again right here in our Archdiocese, and what a wonderful way she's been a wonderful contributor to that organization, and still there, and still there.
We have active groups in both Washington, D.C. and Baltimore, along with all the other cities.
So we will have as well our resource page is up on the screen, and it also is available as a handout. So please feel free to print these and pass these on. If you're not able to get the handout for some reason off the webinar, please contact me and I'll be glad to send it to you. Just as Barbara mentioned, we do have the Ignatian Volunteer Corps website for our area, for the Washington, D.C. Metro Maryland area, many opportunities. And also we should mention another excellent resource for older adults and their spirituality in case they're losing their vision or have lost their vision. Xavier Society for the Blind is a wonderful resource for audio, and they have different actors to record current publications, current books. So perhaps, some of our older adults have low vision or maybe perhaps lost their vision, and we can help someone in our parish to connect with them for those audio books. And it's completely free. It really is a wonderful resource. And they're always putting out new materials, for example.
Rachel, have they recorded my book?
We will have to ask them for that, Barbara. Yes, I think that's a good question for them. And they are right in your, well, I know New York City is a big city, but I know they're right there in New York City as well. They're based there. So we will put that to them. We do have a link on our resource for Barbara's book, God Isn't Finished With Me Yet. And I have the link here for ordering from Loyola Press. It's also available on Amazon. And it's just a wonderful read. Thank you, Barbara, for sharing your thoughts in that book. A wonderful read that can really put those steps that you're talking about in discernment into just a way anyone can do it. Yeah, thank you, Barbara, for doing that so well. So
for mentioning it. And by the way, it's also available in Kindle format.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. Yes. So you can certainly visit the Loyola Press website for that book, and also Amazon, of course. Everything is there as well. I also put on our handout some other resources that also Maryland, this is available in Maryland, a program available to call seniors who are at home just to check in with them. So that's just a wonderful resource for our parishes to know. They can connect. Again, this is for Maryland residents. I have not seen this resource for Washington, D.C. yet, where you can help set up a senior that they would get a call once during the day just to check in with them, and then they contact other people if they haven't heard back from them. So again, that's available through the state of Maryland. Just another resource to help our seniors stay in place, to stay at home. And we also mentioned one-on-one ministry of accompaniment. And here on our resource page with us, and I believe other parishes across our nation, Stephen's ministry, which is that one-to-one accompaniment by a trained person This person goes through a lot of training, and please connect with your parish to see if they have a Stevens ministry or a parish nearby. And they also receive training on bereavement, walking with people. Perhaps they're going through a lot of life changes, and you can refer someone to this, or perhaps you'd like to be a Stevens minister yourself if you are an older adult. It's just another way for people to give back and volunteer in a very meaningful way. One-to-one, Barbara, is what we were talking about as well. And they do receive training on bereavement as well to help, walk people through that journey. Or perhaps, again, if you're an older adult, you might want to think about that. And so please, you can connect with us here at the Department of Special Needs or directly with the Stevens Ministry website. So just another way for both. I think we mentioned that today, Barbara. There's both, right? Making sure our our older adults' talents are being used, and if they need that accompaniment as well.
Okay.
All right, great. Well, I see we don't have any questions right now or comments other than the ones we read earlier. So let me turn here to our last information about our contacts here at the Department of Special Needs. We are working from our homes. We are in our homes today working. So please do not hesitate to contact us by phone. We will get that information, or by email. We also have Facebook and Twitter as well, all those social medias types. And so please do not hesitate to contact us, or if you would like some ideas on other webinars you might want to hear. We really welcome that and would love to join with people together. So Barbara, before we end, I'm thinking that perhaps we can ask for the intercession of Our Lady. And we want to pray for everyone. We talked healing for those who are ill, strength to our medical professionals, our first responders that are there every day helping others, and our caregivers, those who are caring for those who are not well. So before we end today's webinar, let us all join with the Hail Mary together. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Well, thank you again, Barbara, for sharing your thoughts. And I do hope people check your book out, because again, it's just a wonderful guide for people to discover their graces later in life, as you mentioned, how they discover that, and how they think about their life's next steps. And we do look forward to welcoming you in person. We know we will do that, right, Barbara? We will.
Thank you for inviting me to participate, and I hope that we will have the opportunity to do something like what we originally planned. So thank you and goodbye to everyone, and God bless you.
All right. Thank you again, Barbara, and thank you to everyone who joined our webinar today. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.